The Buffalo Bills just got some good and, frankly, a lot of bad news coming out of the Falcons game. It wasn't the game that we expected. Frankly, Bills Mafia, you showed up to the game. It was very clear that we had an enormous amount of our fan base there and cheering them on. Bills Mafia is everywhere. But you know who's not everywhere? Our defense. Our offense didn't show up in the way that we wanted them to. Of course, the Atlanta Falcons were a very, very good unit, allowing the least amount of yards per game total in the NFL. Number one, they're the best pass defense, but also a middle of the pack, 16th overall run defense going into this game. So they're a good unit. We struggled, and of course, we look at this total score. We only scored 14 points. The Falcons had 24. The second half defense, it did show up. We were bottling them up. But the first half was insane. Bijan Robinson ran all over us. We got to talk about all sorts of things today, Bills Mafia. We have to talk about our offense, our defense, the special teams, which is frankly a bright spot for us outside of punting. But then also, we got to talk about injuries. We got to talk about penalties and just some other things that are just happening around this team right now. There is some good, there is some bad. Let's break it down all today. But again, my name's Colin. This is Crack the Table. We are all Bills No Breaks every single day, bringing you Buffalo Bills content so that you can stay informed and stay up to date on everything happening with the Buffalo Bills. And we've got a lot to talk about today, especially coming out of the game last night. The first thing I want to talk about again is how our offense performed last night. The Falcons defense versus the Bills was very, very good. They had 4 sacks. 2 interceptions. They basically didn't allow us to convert any third downs. There's only 14 points allowed. But with that, Dawson Knox had a great touchdown early in the game. I loved it. Just watching on the screen. He gave the ball to Spencer Brown. Spencer Brown was able to spike the ball. That you just love the camaraderie on the team. Josh Palmer had that deep ball. James Cook, especially in the second half, was getting moving. Maybe just some woes here a moment. With like 11 minutes left in the game, James Cook didn't touch the ball one more time. And there was a bunch of times where Josh Allen would look to Tyrell Shavers or Elijah Moore. Both of them either fumbled the ball or completely weren't in the right place at the right time. You can blame that on Josh Allen, or on one of them, I think it was very clearly a miscommunication with Tyrell Shavers continuing to run a route where Josh Allen was looking for a sideline ball or a hitch route. There's just a lot to talk about. The receivers couldn't beat man. Again, that is a massive issue for our team. For some reason, our receivers just cannot get open. Outside of the Josh Palmer big play down the field, we really didn't have anything that was really helpful. We had a couple drops. We had a couple overthrows. Josh Allen had that weird 4th down throw, flick, whatever, to Ray Davis that was short. Big turnover on downs there. Again, the Elijah Moore fumble. Again, 2 turnovers overall for our offense. That wasn't just the difference, but it was something that sealed the game, especially with that interception at the end of the game. Again, the receivers couldn't beat man coverage, which I think is the biggest storyline for us. But the lone bright spot, but I think it's a coaching woe, and I think it's a coaching error, is that, again, James Cook, the formula in the second half was very clearly give James Cook the ball and let's run it as many times as we can. He had a bunch of runs that were like 5, 8, 10 yards, just consistent. Yeah, we had a couple tackle for losses. We had a couple things here and there, and we couldn't just, allow the Falcons to continually stack the box, and so we had to pass it a couple times. But regardless, we kept running the ball really, really well. And I was looking at snap percentages, and James Cook only played around 53% of the total snaps on offense. That is really concerning to me. I think that's a really big coaching blunder going into the second half. They needed to play him more consistently. We needed to run the ball more. Again, the Atlanta Falcons are they were the number one pass defense in the NFL going into this week, yet we tried to send our receivers out to separate in the hard man coverage because they're blitzing all the time, and they couldn't get open in the 3 seconds that Josh Allen had at most of the time. And ultimately, that's just shooting us in the foot. It didn't work well for us. It wasn't a good strategy. We needed to use the run game more. Yeah, Ray Davis had the touchdown. Yeah, that looked good, and hopefully that was going to spark some life into this team, to this offense, but it didn't. James Cook needed to run the ball more. How do we pay a guy whatever $14 million a year, whatever the contract is with James Cook, and use him on almost like barely over half the snaps in the total game on offense. Lots of issues there. Now talking about defense, a bright spot with our defense right here. Deon Walker is tied 4th in the NFL for tackles for loss, 7 with the Broncos, tied with Nick Bonito. Again, a great piece of news for us. That's really what we want to see. That's really what we want to hear. But again, there's a lot of context around this. He's been kind of weak in the run game. Here and there we see plays where he gets gashed. I think last night he had an all right game. The plays that we were really burned by Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier was when our linebackers couldn't track the running back, whether it was a running back in motion, or whether it was two running back sets with Algier and Bijan on the field at the same time when Algier went and scored the touchdown, and there was a motion of Bijan outside. The interior of our defensive line actually held up pretty well, but our linebacker play was really, really killing us last night. Deon Walker, again, is our 4th round pick. And he's playing well. The draft class is not looking good overall with all these injuries and all, outside of Jackson Haas and Deon Walker, we are not sure what we have in TJ Sanders again, who's on IR, Maxwell Hairston, who's on IR. Lots of injuries going on. We got to talk about injuries in a little bit more, but the thing I want to talk about with this Falcons offense and really how they took advantage of our defense wasn't just the run game. We knew that the run game would be a problem based off how we're tackling, which again, last night, Bijan Robinson had a run where he had like 5, he escaped like 5 tackles. There was some great effort by our defense, but ultimately not enough to seal him and to get him down. Again, Cole Bishop had an opportunity to tackle him, I think, on that long run. Absolutely flaked, absolutely missed it. We got to talk about Cole Bishop again and injuries. But the thing that got me the most in this game was that our cornerbacks, who should have had a stronger game, should have had a better game, let Drake London go insane. I saw a stat, and I didn't double check this, but someone was saying this morning on Twitter, they said that Drake London was the only receiver to catch a ball last night. Maybe they had some tight ends catch balls like Kyle Pitts and whatever, but they basically used Tyler Algier, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, and Kyle Pitts to go for 335 yards in the first half. That's really bad. That's a mixture of a conservative play calling. That's a mixture of a conservative scheme, and that's a mixture of bad personnel. We really gave it up to Drake London. He had like 10 catches or 9 catches, whatever it was, 100 and some yards. He absolutely destroyed Teron Johnson in that play. It was a perfect pass by Michael Penix. Teron Johnson, who's like 5'8" or 5'9", against a 6'4", 215 receiver, who's playing basketball, boxing him out right there right in the middle of the field, and we needed help. He needed to have help there on that throw. Why are we like? There shouldn't be any other player on the Falcons that we're double teaming outside of Drake London. He is really the only receiving option for them, especially with Darnell Mooney out. Yes, they had a couple other players who got some targets, but didn't matter, right? Drake London had a huge touchdown catch against Teron Johnson, who coming into this year was a really, really high class nickel corner, slot corner, but he has not performed that well. We had a bright spot though, the first play of the game, and we got to talk a little bit about these penalties, but Dorian Williams had this amazing strip sack right off the beginning of the game. And actually Dorian Williams had a pretty good game overall as I was just watching him, but it was negated by this Greg Rousseau offsides penalty, which apparently was an offsides penalty. The broadcast didn't show it to us. There was clips going around on Twitter of this penalty, and I was watching it on my phone, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't see an offsides. I think we should have had the ball pretty early on. But the one thing, maybe a silver lining here too, is Javon Solomon got a sack, and it was made possible by Greg Rousseau because of the pressure he was creating. But again, there's a lot of issues on this team. There's a lot of issues overall. Again, I can't show you this because of copyright, but Drake London at the end of the half, the score should have been worse. It should have been 28-7 or whatever it was going into halftime. This was a really, really rough game for us. Again, some of these guys on Twitter talking about this, Greg Rousseau, Benford, and Bernard, all getting contracts this year, just not performing really well. Actually, again, Greg Rousseau had an okay game, but he wasn't incredible. Here's maybe some injuries. Again, we'll talk about penalties, I guess, in a second. But Terrell Bernard got hurt in the first half. He got pulled out. Not sure exactly what it was. Taylor Rapp, again, still struggling. Daquan Jones, I don't know if you saw this. You might have missed this. Pre-game, Daquan Jones suffered a calf injury pre-game and wouldn't play last night. That hurt us in the middle. Again, Josh Palmer, hip drop tackle right here on him. Hurts himself and basically does nothing for the rest of the game. Here's some snap counts on our offense. The thing that I saw with snap counts that really surprised me was Tyrell Shavers playing 49% of the snaps. Tyrell Shavers just does not look like he's on the same page with Josh Allen. There was a couple plays again where Josh Allen would throw the ball to Tyrell Shavers, or Tyrell Shavers would try to get a run or something like that, and it just was not what we wanted it to be. Ty Johnson got a lot of snaps, 42%. Elijah Moore was out there a bit, 25%. But again, the thing that I don't understand is how do we only give James Cook 53% of the snaps? It's not like he's like this non-pass catching, bruising back. Like, he is better overall than he's better than Ty Johnson. He's better than Ray Davis. He needs to be out there 70 to 80% of the snaps. We need to be running the ball more with him. And even on defense, some of these snap percentages, Poyer got out there. AJ Epinesa and even one of our linebackers, I think it was Dorian Williams, almost had an interception late in the game. We had some batted balls down. Again, just a rough game overall. Again, when we look at some of these injuries, just briefly, Terrell Bernard got hurt. We'll see. We've got about 2 weeks before the next game. His injury looked a little bit more severe. Benford got hurt, his Achilles, but he did come back out in the game. Connor McGovern got hurt. I believe he came back in as well. Josh Palmer got hurt. Josh Allen also got hurt. Daquan Jones hurt in the pregame. Goodness, there was a lot happening in this game. A lot of things that I'm not excited about. We've got to talk about and break down all these situations more in depth this week. But again, in all of it, my name's Colin. This is Crack the Table, where all Bills, no breaks. Start drinking the Kool-Aid. Drink that coffee. We've got a lot to talk about this upcoming week. I hope you have a blessed day, a great day. The Bills aren't done yet. They're 4-2. They start slow. These last 2 weeks, they were slow. They started fast, had some losses, but they'll come back. They'll be okay. We're going to get some reinforcements coming up here in Hoyt and Okunjobi. It's going to be okay. Don't overthink it. There are some decisions to be made on this team, though. Are we going to sign somebody? Are we going to trade somebody? Let me know in the comments what you think is going to happen and all that. Peace out. Have a good day.